I think maybe we should have talked this over, kids. I'm not so sure you're old enough to have a horse all your own.
Oh, she's not ours, Uncle Bill. She's yours.
Mine.
Back then, CBS gave us a show about a single man, a butler, and 3 orphaned kids, all learning how to be a family. That show was Family Affair, the 1966 sitcom that ran for 138 episodes. Brian Keith played Uncle Bill, the hesitant guardian who stepped up. Sebastian Cabot was Mr. French, the proper butler who kept everything together. And over 5 seasons, they turned a Manhattan penthouse into one of TV's most comforting homes. But behind all that warmth was real chaos. Today, we're counting down 15 facts about Family Affair. Some will make you laugh, some will truly surprise you, and a few are impossible to forget. Now, before we jump in, hit that like button, subscribe, and hype the video. It helps us keep digging into retro TV history. All right, let's kick off the countdown with number 1, the psychedelic opening credits that hypnotized an entire generation. Now, if you grew up watching Family Affair, that opening sequence is burned into your mind. A spinning kaleidoscope that looked like someone shook a jewelry box inside a lava lamp. Those credits were extremely psychedelic. It was wild, swirling chaos before the most wholesome half hour on television. When the series first aired in 1966, America was switching to color television, and Family Affair gave people something exciting to show off. Those hypnotic visuals were not just stylish, they were a flex. The kaleidoscope of spinning gems and starbursts was basically the network shouting, "Yeah, we have Technicolor. Are you jealous?" For millions of families who had just upgraded from black and white, those credits were the 1966 version of your uncle forcing everyone to watch his new 4K TV at Thanksgiving. Look at that magenta. Just look at it. Cinematographer Charles F. Wheeler created the look using an optical printer and layers of colorful gels. Basically, he aimed lights at shiny objects and said, "Yeah, that'll work." No computers, just creativity and a limited budget. Over the top of it all, composer Frank DeVol's theme played like the classiest elevator ride in TV history. It sounded fancy enough to make you feel important, but plain enough that your parents did not worry about you getting bad ideas. And here's the thing, it worked. As soon as the music started, everything stopped. Snacks were forgotten, homework was ignored, and for 30 seconds, you were hypnotized by swirling colors that promised something exciting. Then the credits faded, Uncle Bill's cozy apartment appeared, and you realized you were about to watch a nanny solve problems with cocoa and common sense. Decades later, those credits are still instantly recognizable. Even viewers who have forgotten Uncle Bill's apartment still remember that waterfall of color. It is one of television's most unforgettable openings, proof that sometimes all it takes is a minute of spinning jewels and a theme that sounds like champagne mixed with music to turn a simple sitcom into must-watch television. Number 2. The handshake deal that started it all. Before Family Affair ever reached the screen, CBS had already ordered it. No pilot, no script, no proof it would work. Just a handshake and a simple, "Sounds good, Don." Try pitching a show like that today. You would need focus groups, market research, a flashy demo reel, and probably a blood sacrifice. But in 1966, producer Don Feddersen walked into CBS with an idea. A bachelor uncle, 3 orphaned kids, and a classy butler. And the network simply said, "Yeah, done. See you in September." Feddersen had earned that level of trust. He had already delivered My 3 Sons, a show about a man raising kids without a wife, which was clearly his specialty. CBS knew whatever he made would be wholesome, easy to watch, and safe for sponsors. That was enough for them. The idea fit their formula perfectly. Emotional, but safe. Modern, but not too modern. A swinging bachelor forced to grow up overnight. That is drama. Add a British butler and some cute orphans, and you have a hit. At least that is what CBS was betting on with literally zero proof. The handshake deal paid off. Family Affair became an instant hit, proof that sometimes the smartest business move is simply trusting the guy who already made you a lot of money. Number 3. Cissy was a last-minute recast.
Kathy Garver almost did not play Cissy on Family Affair.
Oh, excuse me.
Miss Cissy, I'd like you to meet Miss Frazier.
Hi, how are you? Mr. French, will you do me a favor?
Of course.
If Ted calls, tell him I'm not in, because I might get a call from Charlie. Charlie Cooper? But if Wally calls first, tell him to call back at 7. That's in case that Ted and Charlie don't call.
Not because she lacked talent, but because the original actress returned from a trip to Europe about 15 pounds heavier, and the producers fired her immediately. Classic 1960s thinking. You could smoke on set, but enjoying pasta in Rome was apparently unforgivable. The real problem was timing. The pilot was already being filmed, the sets were finished, the rest of the cast was ready, and the network wanted everything completed right away. Panic set in. To stay on schedule, the producers rushed to find a replacement who was blonde and blue-eyed. Then came Kathy Garver, a 20-year-old UCLA student with brown hair and brown eyes. She was not what they asked for, but her mother was not about to let that stop a good chance. She grabbed a can of Streaks and Tips, basically hairspray sold as hair dye, and went to work. The result was a copper gold color with a slight green tint. Close enough. When Garver arrived to audition, producer Don Fedderson saw her strangely colored hair and asked what happened. Without missing a beat, she smiled and said, "You're not doing a remake of The Boy with Green Hair, are you?" That joke sealed it. Garver got the role right there in the middle of filming the pilot, and no scenes were ever shot with the original actress. Just like that, a girl with the wrong hair, the wrong eye color, and a box of drugstore dye became one of television's most iconic big sisters. And she was perfect for the role. Garver had already worked with Cecil B. DeMille on The 10 Commandments, so dealing with chaos on a sitcom was nothing new to her.
Here's the kneading trough. Sling it on your shoulders. This is a blessed day.
Where's Rebecca? Here's Rebecca.
And Caleb.
Thank you.
Over 5 seasons, she became poised, relatable, and just exasperated enough to keep Uncle Bill and the twins grounded, exactly what the show needed. Not bad for a last-minute replacement with green-tinted hair. Number 4. The Self-Made Actor. How Sebastian Cabot lied his way to stardom. Before Sebastian Cabot became the picture of British elegance as Mr. French, he was a self-taught actor with a very creative approach to his resume. Yes, really. The most dignified butler on television started his acting career by exaggerating his credentials. Okay, fine, he completely made up acting credits he never actually had. When he finally got his first real role, he was fired on day 1. Now that is learning the hard way. Cabot grew up working class in London and left school at 14 to take any job he could find: garage work, cooking in restaurants and cafes, chauffeuring, and eventually working as a valet for British actor Frank Pettingill. Watching rehearsals from the sidelines, he learned acting through osmosis. Without ever attending drama school, he decided to pursue acting by creating a fake resume of roles he had never played. He later joked that his years as a servant taught him the art of polite lying, which was perfect training for Hollywood. When Family Affair came calling, Cabot's refined manners and booming baritone made him the obvious choice for the impeccable British butler.
Mr. French, is it okay about tomorrow? Supper with Lana?
Now that is for Mr. Davis to decide.
But
Buffy, we should be getting along.
There was just one problem. Cabot thought the role was a stuffy cliché, just another proper English servant part. Hard pass. He only agreed to do it after being offered a very generous paycheck for the pilot. Nothing says artistic integrity like a big fat check. Once the series became a hit, Cabot found himself stuck. The money was great, but the repetitive scripts left him creatively restless. He called it a gilded cage, trapped, playing the same character week after week, worrying he'd never escape Mr. French's shadow. And spoiler alert, he didn't. But here's the twist. Cabot's voice gave him a second act, one that outlasted his TV fame. He became one of Disney's go-to narrators, voicing Bagheera in The Jungle Book.
Mowgli, this time we're not going back. I'm taking you to a man village.
And narrating the original Winnie the Pooh shorts. For millions of Gen X kids, his voice was childhood itself. It was warm, commanding, and completely trustworthy. Number 5. Uncle Bill's limited work schedule. Uncle Bill was the heart of Family Affair, the bachelor who stepped up, the father figure who always made time for the kids. But off-screen, Brian Keith was on set only about 60 days a year. It turns out the caring family man had other things to do. Keith wasn't a TV actor, he was a movie star known for playing tough guys with soft hearts. After Disney's The Parent Trap, he had built a strong career as the rugged man who secretly had feelings.
Just a moment, Dr. Mosby. Listen, Maggie, will you for once in your life try to be a little understanding, please? I've got to go outside there in a minute and explain why you're here.
Getting someone with that kind of big screen credibility to headline a sitcom gave Family Affair instant prestige. But it came with conditions. Keith thought television was beneath him, so producer Don Fedderson made him an offer he couldn't refuse: the McMurray method, a schedule he had used on My Three Sons to accommodate Fred McMurray, another movie star too cool for TV. The deal was simple: film all of Keith's scenes in 2 condensed 30-day blocks each year, then shoot everything else around him. Keith got to keep his Hollywood career, the network got their star, and the child actors got really good at performing opposite stand-ins in empty chairs. For Anissa Jones and Johnny Whitaker, this meant shooting dialogue for 5 different episodes in one day, scenes with Keith in the morning, then acting to nobody that afternoon. The cozy family chemistry audiences loved was mostly editing. The warm, natural moments between Uncle Bill and the kids were filmed months apart and stitched together by very talented editors and Sebastian Cabot, who carried the emotional weight whenever Keith wasn't around. But here's the thing, it worked. Keith's easy improvisational style made the fractured schedule invisible. On screen, Uncle Bill felt present, engaged, and genuinely affectionate. Off-screen, the family barely even knew each other. So yes, Family Affair was a show about the importance of showing up for your family, starring a guy who showed up as little as contractually possible. Number 6. Buffy's borrowed pigtails. Buffy's famous corkscrew pigtails, the perfect spiral curls that defined her look for 5 seasons, weren't originally hers. They belonged to another little girl, and when the studio wanted them, they just took them and then banned the original owner from ever wearing them again. Hollywood, everybody. When Family Affair was casting in 1966, 2 child actresses made it to the final round for Buffy, Anissa Jones and Pamela Ferdin. Both were talented, both adorable, but Jones got the part because she looked more like Johnny Whitaker. Ferdin didn't get the role, but she did leave something behind: her hairstyle. Ferdin's mother was a trained cosmetologist who had crafted her daughter's signature corkscrew pigtails, hoping to make her stand out like a modern-day Shirley Temple. The producers loved the look so much that they decided Buffy should have it instead. Problem solved, right? Not quite. Not long after Jones was cast, Ferdin's mother got a call from the studio. The corkscrew pigtails were now exclusive to Buffy Davis. When Ferdin later guest starred on the show, she was told she couldn't wear her own hairstyle. Why? Because the studio owned it now. Yeah, a major network claimed legal ownership over a 6-year-old's corkscrew pigtails. Only in Hollywood could a hairstyle need a contract. It's one of those stories so absurd it almost sounds made up, but it's real. A little girl auditioned for a role, didn't get it, and somehow lost custody of her own hair in the process. Only in Hollywood could someone's curls become intellectual property. Number 7. Buffy broke her leg twice. In April 1969, Anissa broke her right leg in a playground accident between seasons. The producers hoped she would heal by summer when filming resumed, but when June came, she was still in a cast. Instead of delaying the entire season, they got creative.
Just a simple fracture, sir. Dr. Feltham said that few days bed rest and then she can be up and around on crutches.
They filmed a few episodes with Buffy and her cast and even wrote an episode to explain it. The plot was simple. Buffy hurt herself playing stickball and was heartbroken when she couldn't go to the circus, so Uncle Bill brought the circus to her. The whole family got involved. Jody dressed as a clown and performed as a trapeze artist, while Mr. French became the ringmaster with a professional handler parading a baby elephant around a makeshift ring in their Manhattan apartment. Because when your kid breaks her leg, the obvious solution is to bring a 2-ton animal into your living room. Just as production was catching up, Anissa went to the beach. A wave knocked her over and she broke the same leg in the exact same spot. Because of course it did. The odds of that happening are astronomical. The producer's reaction was probably unprintable. The second break caused total chaos. Half of the already filmed episodes showed her in a cast and half didn't. The solution? Shuffle the entire season's episode order to keep Buffy's leg injury consistent. Somewhere, a script supervisor was having a breakdown. In the end, it all held together, but just barely. A twice broken leg, a shuffled episode order, and Sebastian Cabot in a top hat while an elephant walked circles in a Manhattan high-rise. You know, just family affair things.
Number 8. Mr. French's brother disappeared. Sebastian Cabot collapsed from chest pains during Family Affair's first season and needed emergency gallbladder surgery. The show was already in production, and Mr. French appeared in nearly every scene. The producer's solution? Just add another French. Problem solved. The writers came up with a delightfully implausible excuse. Giles French was away on temporary duty for the Queen of England. Yes, the Queen of England needed this exact butler from a Manhattan apartment. Not just any butler, this one specifically. Sure, that makes sense. In his absence, his brother Niles French would temporarily take over butler duties. Classic TV logic. When one of your stars is unavailable, bring in a previously unknown family member to fill the void. The role of Niles went to veteran British actor John Williams, who brought a slightly warmer, less stuffy energy to the role. He held down the fort for 9 episodes while Cabot recovered, and did a great job making audiences forget they were watching a completely different person in the same costume.
I wish I was going fishing. The toughest part's going to be listening to all those speeches before getting down to business.
When Cabot came back, Niles vanished. No goodbye, no explanation, not even a forwarding address. The family just never mentioned him again. Giles's royal duty was done. He was back, and everyone acted like those 9 episodes with a completely different butler never happened. It's one of Family Affair's greatest bits of trivia. The other Mr. French showed up, kept things running, and disappeared without a trace. Medical emergency, invent a brother, actor returns, pretend nothing ever happened, and move on. Now, if you're enjoying this trip back to Uncle Bill's apartment, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps YouTube show our videos to more classic TV fans just like you. Now let's get back to the countdown with number 9, the shared TV universe you never knew existed. Mr. French went to Rome, not for vacation, but for a crossover episode. Producer Don Feddersen owned multiple hit sitcoms and realized he could just move his characters between shows like action figures. So he did. The mastermind behind this was Feddersen, connecting Family Affair, My 3 Sons, and To Rome with Love, a show about a widower, John Forsythe, raising 3 daughters in Italy.
Penny, you're staring.
I want to see what he's going to do with them.
Do with what?
The part of his coat that hangs down.
Owning multiple shows gave him the perfect opportunity, so why not have his characters visit each other? It was part creative experiment, part marketing stunt, and a way to get fans of one show to watch the others by making them all exist in the same universe. The most random crossover came in the To Rome with Love episode Roman Affair, where Buffy, Jody, and Mr. French showed up in Italy. And yes, we'd love to show you the actual crossover footage, but here's the thing. To Rome with Love is basically lost media. No streaming, no DVDs, just a couple of episodes online. So you'll have to trust us that Mr. French actually appeared in Rome, wearing the same suit and being proper in Italian piazzas. This is what the show looked like, by the way. Picture Mr. French here, and you get the idea. A few episodes later, Feddersen went further. Characters from My 3 Sons visited the family in Rome again, with no footage anywhere to be found. This officially tied all 3 shows together in the same fictional world. Family Affair, My 3 Sons, and To Rome with Love were now connected by an invisible thread of sitcom logic that nobody asked for but somehow worked. The weird part? No one from Family Affair ever appeared on My 3 Sons, Feddersen's biggest hit. Apparently, Mr. French wasn't allowed in California. The crossover universe had limits, and those limits were extremely arbitrary. So yes, decades before cinematic universes became a thing, Don Feddersen was already shuffling his characters between shows for absolutely no reason other than that he could. The crossover episodes exist somewhere in TV history, mostly as TV guide listings and faded memories. Number 10, another network nearly saved it. Family Affair got canceled in 1971, even though people were still watching. The problem was that CBS decided the audience was wrong. Older viewers, rural viewers, basically anyone who wasn't 18 to 49 and living in a city with money to spend.
Advertisers wanted younger urban consumers with disposable income, and CBS was happy to oblige. This led to what they literally called the rural purge. Actor Pat Buttram from Green Acres later joked it was the year CBS killed everything with a tree in it, and he wasn't far off. The Beverly Hillbillies, Petticoat Junction, Green Acres, Mayberry RFD, all gone. Even variety shows like The Lawrence Welk Show and The Red Skelton Show got axed. Family Affair went down with them. Collateral damage in CBS's quest to look younger and more sophisticated. The network wanted room for topical, issue-oriented shows like On the Family and MASH, programs reflecting urban life and tackling real social issues. Out went the gentle family sitcoms. In came loud, uncomfortable conversations about race, politics, and war. Producer Don Fedderson wasn't ready to give up, though. He tried to shop the show to ABC, and for a moment it looked like the Davis family might get a new home. But ABC executives said no. Their reasoning? They already had the Brady Bunch. The kicker, the Brady Bunch wasn't even a hit. It never cracked the top 30 during its original run, but ABC kept it and passed on Family Affair anyway. One wholesome family show per network. Apparently, that was the rule. So instead of a comeback, Family Affair just ended. CBS didn't want it because the viewers weren't young or urban enough. ABC didn't want it because they already had their quota. Canceled not because it failed, but because television had decided to leave the gentle stuff behind.
Number 11. Johnny Whitaker's second act. When Family Affair ended in 1971, Johnny Whitaker kept working. He starred in the musical Tom Sawyer in 1973, where he shared an on-screen kiss with a young Jodie Foster.
It's so nice being engaged.
Why, sure. When me and Amy Lawrence was engaged, we used to go...
Oh, Tom! Then I'm not the first one you've been engaged to.
He went on to star in the Sid and Marty Krofft series Sigmund and the Sea Monsters and appeared in Disney films like Snowball Express and The Biscuit Eater. For a while, the transition from child star to working actor seemed like it might actually work. But then the roles stopped coming after Whitaker returned from a mission trip with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Hollywood wasn't interested anymore. He was too old to play kids, too young to play adults, and stuck in that brutal gap where former child actors just disappear. His marriage ended, and for about a decade he struggled with addiction to drugs and alcohol, losing jobs, connections, and becoming estranged from his family. In 1997, his family staged an intervention. The ultimatum was simple: get help or lose them. Whitaker chose help. He entered a 12-step program, got clean, and stayed that way. But here's where his story takes a turn that's genuinely rare for former child actors. He didn't just get sober, he became a certified drug and alcohol counselor. He used his experience to help others navigate the same struggles he had survived. He even founded a nonprofit called Paso por Paso, specifically to help monolingual Spanish-speaking individuals in addiction recovery. In recent years, Whitaker is reconnected with his Family Affair fans through conventions and talk shows. He's taken occasional acting roles, including a guest spot in the 2002 Family Affair remake and a cameo in the Amazon Sigmund reboot. He's also worked behind the scenes as a producer, director, and acting coach. So yes, Johnny Whitaker's story after Family Affair went dark for a while, really dark. But he came out the other side and turned his worst years into a way to help people going through the same thing. Not every child star gets a second act. Whitaker used his to give back, and that's worth remembering.
Number 12. A dark premise hidden in a wholesome show. Family Affair was a wholesome sitcom about a bachelor raising his orphan nieces and nephew. Oh, and why were they orphans? Their parents died in a car crash. Then the kids were separated and sent to different relatives. You know, just your typical feel-good premise for 1960s primetime. Most sitcoms of the era avoided talking about parental loss. My Three Sons acknowledged the mother had died, but never explained how, and the kids certainly weren't shown grieving. The Brady Bunch never even mentioned what happened to the previous spouses, but Family Affair started with the trauma front and center. The pilot opened with Buffy, quiet, shy, and grieving, being sent to her bachelor uncle's Manhattan penthouse. Her twin, Jodie, arrived by the end of the first episode.
Jodie! Buffy!
older sister showed up in the second episode. 3 siblings were finally reunited after being separated when their parents died. That's a lot of darkness for a show marketed as wholesome family entertainment. The early episodes didn't shy away from any of it. The twins struggled with severe separation anxiety from being apart. The kids talked about their dead parents constantly. The grief wasn't just hinted at, it was right there on screen, an undercurrent of sadness running through what was presented as lighthearted entertainment. But here's the thing, Family Affair never wallowed in it. The show took that bleak setup and turned it into something oddly hopeful, a story about rebuilding a family after loss. Uncle Bill stepped up. Mr. French became the steady presence the kids needed, and somehow it all worked. The grief was there, just under the surface, but so was the warmth. So yes, America's coziest family sitcom was built on one of the darkest premises in television history. Dead parents, separated orphans reunited in a stranger's apartment, and a bachelor who had no idea what he was doing. Yet somehow it became comfort TV. That's the magic trick. Take something heartbreaking and make it feel like home. Number 13, the 2002 WB remake that flopped. In 2002, the WB tried to reboot Family Affair with Gary Cole as Uncle Bill and Tim Curry as Mr. French. The show lasted 15 episodes, and only 13 of them aired. And that pretty much tells you everything.
They're ready.
Splendid. If you could just escort them to the lobby and wait for their bus, I'd be so much obliged.
Geez, French. Slacker much?
Please. I'm in a sort of a bind at the moment.
Okay.
On paper, the cast looked solid. Gary Cole and Tim Curry were proven talents, and the kids, Caitlin Walks as a young Cissy, Sasha Peters as Buffy, and Jimmy Jacks Pinchak as Jody, showed promise. In practice, though, none of it worked. Cole came off stiff and detached, missing Brian Keith's gruff warmth entirely. Curry, a brilliant performer in the right role, was completely wrong for the dignified butler and ended up delivering flat one-liners. The young cast tried, but the chemistry never clicked, and the twins didn't even look like twins, which only added to the awkwardness. The bigger problem was tone. The show couldn't decide whether it wanted to be a sincere family dramedy or a winking throwback sitcom, so it split the difference and became neither. The writing leaned toward dramedy territory, the kind of thing that worked for the WB's hits like Gilmore Girls and Seventh Heaven. But then they slapped a loud, poorly timed laugh track over everything, hammering moments that weren't even remotely funny. It was shot on film without a live audience, so the canned laughter just sat there, awkward and intrusive, reminding you the show had no idea what it was. The critics were not kind. The plot lines felt manufactured and uninspired. The modern touches, like awkward banter about Uncle Bill's love life, felt weirdly cynical and out of place. And with Tim Curry's comedic talents completely underutilized in dreary material, the whole thing felt like a waste. The ratings told the story. A decent premiere, then a nosedive. The WB moved it to a new time slot right after Sabrina the Teenage Witch, hoping to salvage something. It didn't work. They pulled the plug in May 2003, leaving 2 episodes unaired. Nostalgic cameos from Kathy Garver and Johnny Whitaker gave brief flashes of the original's warmth, but they couldn't save a show that pleased no one. Number 14, The Family Affair Curse and Its Lasting Legacy. For a show built on love and family, Family Affair has one of the most heartbreaking legacies in television history. Over the years, so many members of its cast died tragically that fans began calling it the Family Affair Curse. Kathy Garver, who played Cissy, has always dismissed the idea of an actual curse, but the pattern is hard to ignore. The first tragedy was Anissa Jones. After the show ended in 1971, she struggled to escape Buffy. Producers kept insisting she appear as the character for years, complete with chest binders to make her look younger and Mrs. Beasley on her arm. When the industry moved on, she was left behind. Her home life became unstable, and by her teens, she turned to drugs. In 1976, at just 18 years old, she was found dead from a massive overdose, one the coroner called the most severe he had ever seen. Only a year later, Sebastian Cabot died of a stroke at 59. His death was natural, but the timing felt cruel, the loss of the man who had embodied stability both on and off screen. And then there was Brian Keith, beloved for his gruff warmth as Uncle Bill. Keith continued working steadily after the show, but his later years were filled with pain. He battled emphysema and terminal lung cancer, and the death of his daughter Daisy in 1997 left him shattered. 2 months later, Keith took his own life at 75. The Family Affair curse isn't really about superstition. It's about a show that promised comfort and family to millions, while the people who made it were fighting battles no sitcom could ever fix. 3 cast members gone too soon, in ways that had nothing to do with curses, and everything to do with how hard life can be, even for people who made millions smile.
Number 15. The haunting legacy of Mrs. Beasley. Mrs. Beasley, the doll with the polka dot dress and grandma glasses, was one of the biggest toys of the 1960s. In 1967, Mattel released a talking version of Mrs. Beasley that chirped lines like, "Do you want to hear a secret?" And it flew off the shelves. For millions of kids, Mrs. Beasley was comfort incarnate. On the show, she was Buffy's constant companion, a trusted friend for a little girl who had lost her parents. It was sweet, simple, and exactly what the character needed. But off-screen, Mrs. Beasley became something else, the merchandising anchor that kept Anissa Jones locked in childhood long after she had outgrown it. The doll sold too well to let go. Producers forced Anissa to keep appearing as Buffy for years after the show ended, Mrs. Beasley always on her arm for photo ops and promotional appearances. The merchandising was too lucrative to let her grow up. What started as a symbol of comfort became a chain. After Anissa's death, the doll's meaning shifted. Suddenly, Mrs. Beasley wasn't just a nostalgic toy. She was a reminder of what that kind of fame cost. Collectors still treasure her. Vintage dolls sell for hundreds online, and fans still feel warmth when they see that polka dot dress. But knowing the full story makes it impossible to look at Mrs. Beasley the same way. She's still around, still beloved, and still sitting on shelves in antique stores and eBay listings. The comfort is real, but it's impossible to separate the doll from what it cost the girl who carried her. That's Mrs. Beasley's legacy, all at once. And there you have it. That's 15 facts about Family Affair that go way deeper than the wholesome surface. Which fact surprised you the most, and which one did we miss? And if you enjoyed this deep dive into classic TV history, hit that like button and subscribe. We drop videos about the weird, wonderful, and sometimes heartbreaking world of retro television every single week.